Hello students, so this is going to be the second part of your plot popsicles. So you will first have to go get your plot popsicles. Hopefully it is finished out just like this with exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, conflict, external and internal. And what, if you remember, what you were supposed to do is you were supposed to define each one of these things, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to apply it to the stories that we've read. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is then on the back is you're going to create exactly what you've done on the front, but now you're going to be looking at each one of the stories. Okay. So let me go ahead and give you a closer view of what I'm talking about. So in one of the corners, what I've done is, excuse me, there we go, try to focus this. In one of the corners, what I've done is I have my exposition down here. Okay, the arrow means that you need to tell me what is the exposition of the story. Okay, so right underneath your label, you need to tell me what is the exposition of the story. And remember, exposition introduces the characters and sets the mood and tone of the story. So you will need to be telling me these two things. Okay, so who are the characters, what is the setting, and what is the mood of Amigo Brothers in the exposition. So that's the beginning of the story. So then the story continues, and as the story continues, we have the rising action. Okay, so this one should be easy because you've already done these. So you can just copy down from your plot packet what you put here, or if you remember, just put them here. You only need a minimum of 5. Once you get up here, you have the climax, so I need you to properly identify the climax of the story. And then once you get down here, you need to properly identify falling action. In the middle of your plot diagram, you need to make sure that you are telling me what is the conflict of the story, and telling me, is this conflict internal or is it external? Okay, and this conflict should be the conflict that is driving the rising action. So this conflict should have been happening in the beginning of the story, right? And then from that conflict, the rising action continues until you get to the climax. What you will also notice is that there's this faint drawing behind it. What I also want you to do, because you know that I like art and I like to look at nice things, I want you to also give me some kind of image that relates to the story. So this one was for Amigo Brothers. So what do you think this is? Right, it's a glove, right? I didn't color it all the way in yet because I'm still working on it. And your image should not overtake your plot diagram. Your image should be in the background, very light, very faint, right? I'm more interested in being able to see this than I am your image, but we do want to add a little bit of color to this. So that's one of the stories. Then you need to go to the next story, which was War of the Wall. Same thing. Start with your exposition. Okay, so this is where you meet the characters, you have the mood, the settings introduced. Then tell me what is the rising actions. Give me at least 5. Okay, along here, give me at least 5 events that led to the climax. Okay, and so I'll be looking at these events, and they should be events that create suspense as the story is getting to the climax. So whatever you choose here, I'm going to be looking at and making sure that you chose events that helped create this suspense and lead to the climax. Then tell me the climax, and then the following action. Okay, and then same thing. What is the conflict? Give me an image. Okay, so that's War of the Wall. And then our last story that we read, which was Rikki Tikki Tavi. Same exact thing. Start with the exposition. Tell me what is the setting, what are the characters. Give me at least 5 events. This one I think you actually need 7 events. So let's make Rikki Tikki Tavi 7 because it was a longer story. War of the Wall, Amigo Brothers, shorter story, give me 5 events. But Rikki Tikki Tavi was pretty long. So let's go ahead and say that we want 7 here at least. So then you give me 7 events that went to the climax. Remember, the conflict needs to be identified in the middle of the plot diagram. You need to tell me, is it external or is it internal? Remember, the conflict should start down here, right? That's what starts the story. That's what creates the rising action into the climax. And the climax is when things change. This is when the resolution happens. This is when everybody is happy. This is usually at the end of the story. And the falling action, I know in all of my drawings that it looks like it's very long, but the falling action should actually just maybe stop right here. It's a very small part of the story. It's the very end of the story. And then you see, just like I've asked you to do, give me an image behind your, and this is a king cobra. Okay, I'm not the best artist, but I try, and I want you to do the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and review what I'm expecting out of you. Okay, so for each one of these, you need to give me all elements of the plot properly identified. Okay, so for each one of the stories we've read, you're doing all of this on the back of your plot popsicles. Then you need to properly identify the conflict and label it as internal or external. And then finally, what you need to do is you need to color the image that relates to the story. Okay? Remember, as you're setting up for Amigo Brothers, you're doing at least 5 steps. For War of the Wall, you're doing, again, at least 5 steps. And then for Rikki Tikki Tavi, 7. This is not going to be due until Thursday, so you have plenty of time to work on it. This is a minimum day week, so don't rush through it. After you finish your plot packet, then you work on this, and then Thursday I'll give you the entire period to also work on it.